Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is we're getting toward the end of the semester, but got a few good things to talk about today. Lousy day out there. We had a beautiful weekend, but I hope that you got a chance to get outside to enjoy it. But for right now, we're back into the chilly weather again. So announcements today. Well, we really don't have much left at this point. I see that just about everybody got their BigQuery assignment in, and I've got links, and it all looks good. So I'm really excited and glad that you guys were able to figure out how to use these tools, how to submit a link, how to do all of those good things. That's just awesome. So looking forward to looking at those and giving a grade on that one. And hopefully everybody's going to do real well on it because it's just an assignment, and hopefully you learned a bunch of stuff working on it. And now the last thing that we have due for this semester is your group project. So because we've done your final exam and we've done all that stuff already, all you've got left to concentrate on is your group project. You've got almost 2 weeks to get that done, so it should be a really good job. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with. So BigQuery links left them out there. These are from before, just because I thought you'd want to keep them around just in case. Now, remember what I want in the project presentation with the dashboard, and that's due on the 1st of May. And I want you to talk about what you did. And you can do just like I do here, make a video. I use Camtasia. But whatever you want to use, and I think there's a free license for Camtasia, and it works pretty well. I'm sure there's other ways to do it that work well too, but this is what I use. So if you'd like to use Camtasia, great. Remember, your project presentation should take about 20 minutes. And I'm still figuring out how to make it so that everybody can see everybody else's presentation. I think that's a really good thing for you to get used to seeing, so you can see what really cool and interesting stuff your colleagues in your classes put together for this assignment. So you did in your BigQuery assignment, you learned how to use Data Looker Studio to create a really interesting set of dashboards with graphic elements in them and colors and different fonts and explanations and everything. So, use what you learned for your BigQuery assignment on your final presentation, and I think it'll work out really well. Be sure to include these ideas on here. You're half doing a data analytics presentation just to show what you can do, but you also have to remember that you're going to have to do a capstone project. And so I'm kind of blending this together, giving you free rein to figure out what you want to analyze, but at the same time giving you a little bit of structure on how to organize your presentation so that it'll kind of fit as part of your capstone project. So for your capstone project, you're going to want to have a title page, an agenda, an introduction section, all of these kind of different sections. And I think it's a good practice for you to get used to doing that by doing it for this class project. So different sections on here. Think about it and be ready to include this information in your project presentation. On your dashboard, you can do all this in Data Looker Studio, and isn't that cool? And it would work really well for your capstone project. So, it doesn't do any good for you guys to finish your coursework. What you really need to do is to earn your master's degree. And the last thing that you need for your master's degree is your capstone project. So some of you are gonna get a great job, do really interesting stuff. Things are going to come up, and you're just not going to get to your capstone project. Don't let it be you. Make sure that you stick it out, finish it up, get that master's degree. You'll get that great job. It's still going to be waiting for you, but finish it up. And so that's what I'm trying to help you to do with this project presentation. So I went through and found some really interesting capstone dashboard examples, which I think are really neat. Now these are ones that kind of go more toward the side of data visualizations, but that's okay because that's kind of what you are doing here. Is you can learn to do data visualizations as part of your analytics. Now, for example, this one here is from the New York Times. New York Times does a lot of really interesting data visualizations, and they do it in a really useful fashion and as a way to explain complicated ideas in the news. And so, this one is this question of, gerrymandering. How do you gerrymander? Now, what that means is that in the U.S., we have different voting districts. So we have representatives in New York State. We have the state government, and the state government has a legislature, and they have the Senate, and probably House of Representatives and the Senate. And each of those two different groups are different sizes, different number of people serve in the New York State government in those different parts of the government. But they're all voted into place. So the question is, which parts of New York State together form a voting district? And when one party is able to, there's a lot of logic and a lot of technology that can go into figuring out what's the optimum voting districts for your party so that you get elected more frequently. Well, if one party's mad at the other about how the districts are laid out, what they say is that the other party is gerrymandering the voting districts. So that's what this is about, and it's interesting because it says we've got this welcome to Hexopolis, whatever that is, and so you can start to do this kind of figuring out the voting districts that would be most optimal for your party, and the New York Times gives you these tools to give it a try and look at this stuff. Well, this is just another version of a data visualization that people can actually use, and it's kind of neat. Okay, so one thing we haven't talked about, but we probably should, because it's going to be part of somebody's career out there, is this whole idea of data visualizations around sports. And so 538 does two things. They're mostly into politics, but they also do a lot of sports analysis. And so this is just one of many that they do, and yet it's kind of interesting. Where does this all come from? Well, it's just the data visualization. It's taking data, it's analyzing it, it's coming up with ways to display the information, to put them into different rankings and club predictions and NHL, all this kind of stuff, different player ratings. That's all part of analytics, and it's a big deal in sports these days. So sports these days have a ton of visualizations in them, and look at the different ways to organize this data. If you're talking about a game between two basketball teams, the Knicks and the Cavaliers, what's this quality rating? What is that? What is the importance rating? What's the over? All of these things are data-driven ideas that people have come up with to help them better understand and have some fun with sports, as well as make a whole bunch of money on things like sports betting. So, sports betting is becoming much more popular in the U.S. these days. It really wasn't until a few years ago that sports betting was legal, but now it's become much more legal in lots of parts of the U.S., including New York State. And you've all seen ads for DraftKings and BetMGM and all these different places, FanDuel, uh, Caesars Sportsbook, you name it. But betting analytics is a big deal these days, and there's nothing that says that you couldn't take some time, develop your own tools that perhaps would be useful for your own betting, or get a job working for FanDuel or Caesar Sportsbook or whatever, putting out analytics about different teams out there and making them available to other sports bettors who would look at your analytics and say, oh, now I know how I want to bet my money. So, there's all kinds of interesting stuff out here. And, you could have done, nobody's doing this for their project, but you sure could. And you could also do your capstone project on this too. And it's not only the sports that are popular in the U.S. Where is it? It's not the one. Not the one. Darn it. I've got a link out there for you that is about. That's not it. Let me find it. It's cricket data visualization. And I have watched cricket games, cricket matches before. Of course, not the whole thing because I know how much of a time commitment that is. But cricket is one of the most popular sports in the world, and there's a ton of data that comes out of cricket. And so, there's a lot of interesting things that you could do around this. If you wanted to make your career in the sports betting world, you could. And you could do it doing data visualizations that related to, your favorite teams, or, you could sell your expertise to a company like FanDuel or whatever. And I'm sure that they would be very interested to have someone with visualization experience who actually understands cricket, who could develop visualizations to make available to other people who are interested in doing this kind of work. So lots of really interesting stuff out there. Take a look at these things. Get used to looking at what other people are doing in this area. Scientific visualization, sports data, cricket data, sports betting analytics. The scientific information side of this is also fascinating and interesting because people are making these tools available online so that you can develop your own visualization and figure out what you want to see using their data. That's pretty cool. And you could put a lot of this stuff together and do it as part of for your capstone project, for your career, for whatever you want. And don't get caught up in this idea that there's only a few things that you can actually visualize. There's tons of things. Let's see, what was that one that was just there a second ago? Yeah, so pretty cool stuff. Okay, so unless anybody, remember I'm around all this week. I'll be on campus on Tuesday and Thursday, and available most of the day. And I look, if you've got any questions or any way that I can help out, please let me know. And other than that, I think we're working our way to the end of the semester. You should be working on your project this week and next, and then turn it in. And yeah, look at that's a cool one, isn't it? That is really cool. So cool visualizations that you guys can do. They probably use BigQuery to do this. Why wouldn't you? It's so much easier to use somebody else's data center than build your own. Use Google's. All right, so take care, everybody, and I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.